Good day, parents and children. This is the lesson about divisibility rules. These rules are very important. This is how we check whether a number can divide into another bigger number. Very important note here, just like multiplication tables are important to memorize, so is the divisibility rules. Okay, so there's your brain and you need to memorize the rules. These rules come straight from the DBE. Some of the sentences doesn't make a proper sense, so I've changed it a little bit so that you can understand it better. I'm going to try and get through this quickly because there are 12 rules, so listen carefully. Remember, if you don't understand something, go back into the video and replay it to yourself. Right, so divisibility of 2, meaning can the number divide by 2? That's the question. All right, so we know, I think you know this one, the last number is an even number. That's how we know whether the number can divide by 2, if the last number is an even number. So what are even numbers? Okay, even numbers again, they are 2, 4, 6, 8, and also if the number ends on 0, so it's 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. So let's look at examples. If the number, the last number is an even number. So if we look at 18, 18 ends on 8, so that is an even number. So yes, this one is divisible by 2. 194, last number is 4, so yes, this is divisible by 2. If you look at this big number, 182,653, the last number is a 3, so that's an odd number. Okay, so no, this one does not divide by 2. This one, the last number is a 0, so yes, it is divisible by 2. Let's go to the divisibility rule of 3. So the question again, I'm not going to write this every time, just in the beginning. Can the number divide by 3? Okay. How do we know that? If the sum of the digits, so what is the meaning of sum of? You have to add, plus, is divisible by 3, meaning it can divide by 3, then the whole number is divisible by 3. What are the sum of the digits? So let's look at an example. Okay, 138. So what's the first thing we need to do? Sum of the digits. You have to add the different digits. So you're going to say 1 plus 3 plus 8, and that equals 12. What must you do now? You must divide by 3. Take the 12 and divide by 3. 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So there's no remainder. So that means that that 138 is divisible by 3. Let's look at the divisibility rule for 4. If the number made by the last 2 digits is divisible by 4, then the whole number is divisible by 4. So let's look at an example, 2,324. The number made by the last 2 digits is here 24. Can 24 divide by 4? Yes, it can. You would know this by knowing your tables. So 24 divided by 4 equals 6. So that means that this whole big number, 2,324, is divisible by 4. Or let's look at a bigger number, 543,236. Look at the last 2 digits, 36. Okay, so 36 divided by 4 equals 9. So this means that 2,324 and 543,236 are divisible by 4. Right, let's move on to the next one. Divisibility of 5. This one is an easy one. This one you should know. So how do I know a number can divide by 5? If the last digit is either a 0 or a 5, then the whole number is divisible by 5. So there are 2 examples, 255 and 360. This one, the last digit is a 5, so yes, it will divide by 5, and the answer is 51. The last digit here is a 0, so yes, it will divide by 5, so the answer will be 72. Divisibility of 6. Okay, so we've got two big examples here. So how do we know if a number is divisible by 6? If the number is divisible by both, by 2 and by 3. So you need to know your divisibility rules of 2 and 3 to know whether the number is divisible by 6. How do we know a number divides by 2? If the last digit is an even number. How do we know a number divides by 3? If you add the digits and then you get, and then your answer can divide by 3. So let's look at this example. 36. So I must check whether 2 and 3 can divide into 36. So first of all, I want to know if it divides by 2. Look at the last digit. Is it an even number? So it says here, it is divisible by 2 because it ends on an even number. So yes. Now I need to check whether it divides by 3. It is divisible by 3 because the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. So you take the 3 and the 6, you add them together, you get 9, and then take the answer and divide by 3. And then you get an answer without a remainder. So this means that 36 is divisible by 6. Let's look at another number, 846. It is divisible by 2 because it ends on an even number. It ends on 6. It is divisible by 3. How do we test that? You take the digits, add them together. 8 plus 4 plus 6. You get 18. What must I do now? I must divide it by 3 to know. So 18 divided by 3 is 6. So that means that 846 is divisible by 6. So you have to check two things. Can it divide by 2 and can it divide by 3? Then you know it divides by 6. Right, let's look at the divisibility rule of 7. This one is a tougher one, so I want you to listen very carefully. There are lots of steps here that you need to follow. So how do I know a number can divide by 7? Take the last digit, okay? So this is the first step. Then they say, second step, double it, right? And subtract it from the rest of the number. So there's your third step, subtract. Subtract it from the rest of the number. If the answer is divisible by 7, there's your fourth step. You have to divide by 7. If you get 0, or it is divisible by 7, then the whole number is divisible by 7. Right, so now we're going to use these 4 steps to see whether a number divides by 7. So our number that we take is 364. So what's the first step? Take the last digit. Okay, the last digit is 4. What's the next step? Double it. What does that mean? Times with 2. So we take the last digit, we multiply with 2, and you get 8. What's the next step? Subtract it from the rest of the number. Take the 8, and you're going to subtract from the rest of the number. What does that mean? It's not 360, we're going to subtract it from, just subtract it from the rest of the digits. So what's left is the 3 and the 6, and that makes 36. Okay? So you're going to say 36 minus 8, and you get 28. Right? So that was step number 3. You subtracted from the rest of the number. What's the last step? Number 4, divide by 7. So take 28 and divide it by 7 and you get 4. So there's no remainder. So this means all these steps, 1 to 4, and everything worked out properly. So this tells us that 364 is divisible by 7. And if you would like to go and check it, you can see that if you multiply 7 with 52, you will get 364. Okay, so what steps do we need to follow when we check the divisibility of 7? You must take the last digit, you must double it times 2, then you must take the answer and subtract it from the rest of the digit or the number, and then that answer you're going to divide by 7. Let's test it on the next one. Right. 2016. So number 1, last digit. So that would be the 6. What must we do with that last digit? You have to double it times 2. So 6 times 2 is 12, right? Now I must take this answer and I must subtract it from the rest of the number. So what's left if I take the 6 away? There will be a 2 and a 0 and a 1. So that makes 201. So take your answer, minus it from the rest of the number. So 201 minus 12 equals 189. Okay? What must I do? What's the last step? I must divide by 7 again. But then if you get here to this point, divide by 7, this is still a very big number. Okay, so I can't just divide by 7 if I don't know how to do that. So what must you do? What can I do here? Start again with all the steps. Right, so now just do the same again with the number that's left. So what's the first step? Take the last digit. So that's 9. What must I do with a 9? I must double it. So 9 times 2 equals 18. Right? What must I do with that? I must now subtract the 18 from what's left of the rest of the number. So what's left of the rest of the number is the 1 and the 8, which makes 18. So the 18 is being subtracted from 18, which comes from the number. 18 minus 18 is 0. And if you say 0 divided by 7, which is the last step here, you divide by 7, then you get 0. So that if your answer is 0 as well, that will also tell you that you can divide by 7. So this means that 2016, this big number there, is divisible by 7. If you want to test it, 7 times 288 equals 2016. Right, let's jump on to divisibility of 8. Right. What must we do here? When the last 3 digits is divisible by 8, the whole number is divisible by 8. So let's look at an example. 1136. Take the last 3 digits, 136, divided by 8. Okay, I'm going to follow the long division method here. So you're going to ask yourself, can 8 divide into 1? No, so I'm making a dot there in the place of a 0. And I'm going to look at the 2 digits. 13. Can 13 divide by 8? Yes. How many times can 8 go into 13? 1. 1 time. So then I'm going to say 1 times 8 equals 8, and then I subtract. So what's 13 minus 8? That is 5. Now I need to bring down the next number, which is 6. Can 8 divide into 56? If you know your tables, you will say yes, 7. 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. And if you subtract that, we've got no remainder. So you took the last 3 digits as a number, you divided it by 8, and you got 17. So that means that 1136 is divisible by 8. Okay, so let's look at the divisibility of 9. The sum of the digits is divisible by 9. So you have to add the digits again and divide it by 9. This is very similar to the rule of the divisibility of 3, much like the divisibility of 3. So I add the digits and I divide it by 9. So let's look at an example, 234. Take the digits, 2, 3, and 4, add it together, 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 9. What must I do now? So this is your step number 1, and that's your step number 2. Now you need to divide it by 9. So you took the answer and you divided it by 9. You got 1. Okay, so 234 is divisible by 9. Divisibility of 10, very, very easy. You know this one. This one is not difficult. The last digit is a 0. Then it is divisible by 10. So 230, last digit is a 0. Yes, it can divide by 10. Your answer will be 23. Right, let's go to the last 2. Divisibility of 11. Here, this one is also one that you need to pay attention to and listen to very carefully. You can see there are 2 stars here, which tells you that I've just changed the sentence a little bit. Find the difference between the sum, so difference meaning minus, between the sum of, so you have to add the even digits and the sum of the odd digits. Okay, lots of words in the sentence. If the answer is 0 or divisible by 11, the whole number is divisible by 11. So let's look at this number that we've got here. 1,595. So they say, find the difference. So I'm going to minus. So what am I going to minus? I'm going to minus the sum of the even digits and from the sum of the odd digits. So here we have digits, 1595, okay? So that means we're going to say even, odd, like that, okay? So E is for even. You will say 5 is not even, but this is just to show you we're going to say this is the first place, second place, and then we just do it like that. Even and odd, okay? Right, so then what you do is the sum of the even digits. So we're going to say 5 plus 5 minus, and then we're going to look at the odds, so 1 and 9. So 1 plus 9. So if you add this up, you get 10 minus 10. So this equals 0. So let's see what I've written here. 10 minus 10 is 0. Then you take this one and you divide it by 11 and you get 0 again. So that means that 1,595 is divisible by 11. Okay, and if you check it, you get 145 is your answer. Right, so let's go to the next one, 4,719. So we're going to, again, just name them odd, even, okay? So sometimes it doesn't really matter what way around you do it, okay? So let's say this is odd and this is even and this is odd and this is even. So what you do is you take the even ones and you take the odd ones and you add them first and then you subtract them. But remember, we need to put the big numbers in the front when we minus, okay? So here is 4 and 1, which will make 5, and 7 and 9, which will make 16. So let's put the big ones in the front and the smaller numbers later on. So 7 plus 9 equals 16. Minus and 4 and 1 makes 5. So then you will get 16 minus 5 equals 11. So that's what I've written here. 16 minus 5 equals 11. This comes from this. So if I have 11 as an answer and you divide it by 11 to check whether it is divisible by 11 and you get 1 because we know that is the answer, then 4,719 is divisible by 11. And now we are by the last rule, divisibility of 12. If the number is divisible by both 3 and 4, so you must check, can it divide by 3 and can it divide by 4? It is also divisible by 12. Okay, so this what we've got here is 180. So 180 divided by 3. Then how do we know that 180 can divide by 3? The rule for 3 is you add the digits. So this will equal 9, and 9 can divide by 3. We know that. So it divides by 3. Okay. What's the rule for dividing by 4? What must you do? You must take the last 2 digits. Can 80 divide by 4? Yes, it can. The answer is 20. So yes, it can divide by 4. So if you would calculate that, 180 divided by 3 is 60, 180 divided by 4 is 45. So this means that 180 is divisible by 12. Right. Homework. Page 110, number 5 and 6. Page 122, number 1 and 2. And page 124, only number 1. Only do the numbers that I've written here because there are other numbers, but I don't want you to do those sums. I want you to focus on these because this is about the divisibility rules. Parents, what I also like them to do is to write out the divisibility rules in the writing books. This will also help them to remember it. Okay, I hope you had a good day and that you enjoyed the lesson, and good luck for the rest of the day.